of it because the Steward of Gondor is a real jerk about abdicating power. Merry, Pippin, Legolas, Aragorn, Gandalf, and Gimli were all reunited just in time to split up again. Gandalf took one hobbit, and the rest get the other. That pair then rode to Gondor, tricked them into calling for aid, and started preparations for another massive battle. Aragorn wound up getting a new sword recycled from Narsil, Isildur's old sword, and a bunch of new ghost friends. Maybe friend is too strong of a word? Ghost co-workers? That seems more fitting. The Battle of Minas Tirith commences after a few smaller encounters, and naturally the Steward takes the first opportunity to burn himself alive. If we were doing a list about top 10 cinematic death scenes, that one would definitely be on there. Frodo and his merry man also run into trouble with a giant spider, and then some hungry orcs. Gollum wound up betraying them like the little punk that he is, and Sam earned the franchise's MVP award for rescuing Frodo and then literally carrying him up a mountain. They arrive just in time to plunge the ring into lava, but oh no, Frodo has gone to the dark side in a completely unexpected heel turn. A fracas with Gollum wound up sending both him and Frodo tumbling over the edge. However, Sam saved Frodo, while Gollum in the ring became really gross soup. During all of this, Aragorn and what was left of the armies of the two human kingdoms were providing a distraction at the gates. There, he delivered one of the franchise's best speeches, which is a feat because this series is absolutely loaded with good speeches. In fact, this one might be one of the best in cinematic history, period. It's just so good. Thankfully, Middle-earth realized that this movie was getting a little long in the tooth, and before Aragorn can get into all the bad guys, they wind up falling into a large hole. Also, Sauron's eye exploded, and Frodo and Sam were scooped up by a group of eagles. They're then flown back to Rivendell, where Frodo recovers. Everyone came in one at a time and dogpiled on top of him for some celebratory bed jumping and hair tussling. Everything worked out just fine for pretty much everyone, except for Boromir. And most of his family. But at least Faramir got to hook up with a pretty badass shield maiden, so you know there's that. After a recovery period of a few months, they all head to Gondor for Aragorn's coronation. The hobbits then returned home to the Shire, where they lived happily for a few years, until Frodo and Bilbo boarded the boat for the Grey Havens. After a tearful goodbye, Sam returned home to his loving wife. The end. Finally, after like 6 false endings, that movie just wouldn't end. Not that I'm complaining, I could have watched The Lord of the Rings forever, but still, there's a lot of false endings there. All these years later, it still kind of bugs me. So how does this fit with the upcoming Rings of Power? Well, that series is taking place in the Second Age, all the way back in the prologue of the first movie. It will be about Sauron coming to power through the creation of the rings. As I said earlier, Celebrimbor will be featured in the series. He crafted the rings but was betrayed by Sauron after he discovered their true purpose. No idea yet if his extra ring that was established in the Shadow of Mordor games will appear in the show, but it's possible. You can also expect to see some of the more divine and powerful beings sent to Middle-earth by Eru, the creator and supreme deity. While Gandalf and the other wizards featured in the movies fit this bill as well, they were not on Middle-earth during the Second Age. At least Gandalf wasn't. He was sent to Middle-earth in the Third Age, so don't expect him to be around in the series. Besides, Ian McKellen is looking far more like Gandalf the Grey than Gandalf the White these days. The biggest thing to look out for, though, are the initial Maiar or primordial spirits, who were in far greater numbers at the time. Gee, I wonder what is going to happen over the course of that series. I wonder how it's going to end. Like I said at the start of this video, the world of Middle-earth is so expansive and detailed that this video barely scratches the surface. The Rings of Power will give us a lot more context and history when it comes to the Lord of the Rings, but we'll also have to do a lot of interpretation. There's a lot of history and myth in the world of Middle-earth, and this September we'll get even more. Maybe we'll even finally get to see Tom Bombadil and his super hot wife, Middle-earth's ultimate power couple. All in all, I'm personally quite excited to see what the Rings of Power will bring to the table. I read the Silmarillion years ago, so my knowledge of what actually went down in the days before the Lord of the Rings is a little fuzzy. While I expect we'll see some deviation from Tolkien's work, the folks at Amazon have already tell us to expect that to be the case in some minor regards, I also figure it'll fit in nicely with the rest of the stories we've gotten from Middle-earth. And heck, if it does well, maybe we'll see a future adaptation of something like Unfinished Tales, or Beren and Luthien, the children of Húrin. Heck, maybe we'll even see The Fall of Gondolin, a book that actually wasn't released that long ago. There are so many more stories set within the world of Middle-earth that could serve as a basis for more films.
trapping.